Hey, this is Kevin Kelly, and you are listening to the Stardom Cast.
And welcome to the Stardom Cast, your weekly audio source of all things World Wonder Ring Stardom. I'm your host, Rob Goodwin, and I'm joined as ever by Matt Turner. Matt, as this is absolutely the first time I've attempted to record the intro to this podcast, how are you?
I'm excellent, my friend. We're fumbling and stumbling early, but that's A-okay because this is only episode like 105, and if you combine all the Patreon and extra episodes, we've only done this 200 times, but maybe by the time we get to 5,000, we'll get it. But I'm excellent, my friend. I hope that you're doing well. And as we just talked about before we recorded the show, this weekend for me, for my wrestling fandom, is the end of an era, as this weekend is one of the most important and fun wrestling pay-per-views or live events in all of wrestling of the year, the Royal Rumble. And this will be the first Royal Rumble that I will not be seeing live as it happens since 1995, my good sir. So it's a hell of a run. Hell of a run to be watching the Royal Rumble live. But yeah, I won't be viewing it as my best friend's bachelor party is this Saturday. So maybe I'll throw it up on the old Peacock Network on the phone. And as I'm going to the bar, maybe I'll see if I can see, the surprise entrance or whatnot. But yeah, heck of a streak. But yeah, that's what I have going on this weekend.
Absolutely. The man has the audacity to have his bachelor party on Royal Rumble weekend. Does he understand what that means? Matt, it's the one pay-per-view where there is a little bit of intrigue in the WWE calendar, the fact that he would have the audacity to throw his bachelor party on that day. But in all seriousness, I hope you have a fantastic time. What have you got planned?
It's a joint bachelorette party. He's 43. His wife-to-be is like 40. I've literally had the same group of best friends since I was in grade school, which is awesome. To just have like just a group of friends like that we've been so close for so long. So they're doing a joint bachelorette party. They're doing they're renting a giant limo bus. We're going to dinner, bar hopping, going to barcade, and then doing an axe throwing thing. Which reminds me, I have to sign the waiver for the axe throwing. So hopefully I won't be too drunk when the axe throwing happens, because I might be doing next week's show from the hospital. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. But it wasn't even my buddy's fault when he doesn't even know that it's on the same day as the Royal Rumble. I'm probably going to call him sometime today just to let him know, hey man, we booked you here, because it was all of us. He's the nicest guy, Rob, that literally when he got engaged, there was 5 of us saying, okay, now we have to start preparing the best man speech, because he's been the best man at 4 or 5 weddings. And he was so heartbroken, he didn't know what to choose for the best man. So he's like, screw it, it's my wedding. It's my wedding. I'm doing the best men. So we're all giving like 4 or 5 like mini speeches. But he's like, no, you have to go on last because I know you're going to give the best speech. I'm like, damn right I will. So yeah, that's what's happening. It's when I asked him, I said, what all were we doing for this? Because they invited my dad. My dad's awesome. But he was like, I'm 65. Do I really want to be going to a bachelor party? And they're like, no. It's nothing like a normal bachelor party. This is what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be, tamed. And he was very adamant. He goes, it's nothing like your son's bachelor party. And my bachelor party, Rob, cannot be told on this show. Maybe on an exclusive Patreon episode, 21 or plus.
Wow.
My bachelor party. Yeah, it was a little. I'll give you the finish of my bachelor party, right? And then maybe we'll discuss it some other time. But so my cousin, who really doesn't drink, he was the only one that was sober. He taps me on the shoulder at around 4 a.m. as we're in the gentleman's club. And he said, he gives it to me in wrestling lingo. He goes, hey, you might want to take this home. So what do you mean? He goes, turn around. So I turned around, and 2 of my friends that are much bigger, stronger weightlifters than I am had the bouncer of said gentleman's club up against the wall, and they were trying to throw him out the window. So that was the finish of my bachelor party at about 4:15. So a.m.
That's quite impressive. I mean, I feel like you've left it on a real cliffhanger now. I mean, if nothing, ladies and gentlemen, persuades you to join patreon.com/the Stardom Cast, it's hearing how Matt's bachelor party resulted in them basically attempting to lift a man out of a window. I mean,
Royal Rumble. Look, I didn't even realize that I did that. I basically connected the Royal Rumble and my bachelor party almost 11 years ago together.
I don't think people understand just how smooth you are with these transitions, Matt.
I don't know either.
And to those people who still to this day message Matt and think that we somehow meet up and discuss these transitions, despite us, having a whole ocean in between us, no, this is just proof that it's just organic chemistry. But Matt, obviously this is a Stardom podcast. Let's talk some Stardom. But before we do, what is coming up on the Patreon this week?
On the Patreon this past Monday, we released the alternate commentary of Hair vs. Hair from the Budokan Hall, Giulia defending the Wonder of Stardom Championship versus one Tam Nakano. I had to do this one solo, as Rob had a little issue with his bathroom, which you can actually hear on we actually just taped it yesterday. So he explains what happened. So another reason why you should join the Patreon to hear Rob's, you should put a camera in your house, buddy, because you deserve your own show, It's something, man. With all the garbage that's on the 400 channels on TV, how you don't have your own show, you breaking your foot and breaking dishes right before we're supposed to podcast and all this other stuff, it just absolutely amazes me. But
honestly, it's considering that we've just talked about your bachelor party and how a fight broke out. Me being physically too fat for my own bath and pulling it away from the wall, I feel like it's a really boring way of going down with it.
Now we'll spin it. We'll put some like fancy music behind it, buddy. We'll get it going. But so that's what we released on Monday. You were well missed on that show, and it's a match that I would definitely like to go back and review with you if the demand is there to go back and watch and do the alternate commentary. But that's what we released on Monday. But what we have coming up in the next few weeks, that's what I'm going to explain right now. And Rob, let me ask you a question. Do you like Starlight Kid, sir?
I'm a big fan of Starlight Kid, Matt. Why do you ask?
Well, then you have so much in common, not only with me, but the fantastic listeners, the friends and family of the Stardom Cast, because over the next few days, released will be, again, I just talked about it, Rob and I did the alternate commentary to Mayu Iwatani versus Starlight Kid from the last 5-star Grand Prix. I had an absolute ball doing that with you, my friend. It was great, going back, watching that match with you and adding our own soundtrack. So that'll be coming up on Monday. And sometime between now and the end of the month, it's taped, it's recorded, it's in the can. Starlight Kid high-speed championship run. 7 matches, 5 successful title defenses. As always, we review the match she won the belt and the match she lost the belt. So those 2 will be up in the Patreon feed before the end of the month. And also, the February poll has closed for Rivalry Month. So again, you must all love Starlight Kid, because Starlight Kid versus Zumi crushed the poll, ended at number 1. So I think what I'll do is just the momentum coming from Starlight Kid, I'll probably release that rivalry review probably in the middle of the month. And then the end of the month, coming in second place, was Io Shirai versus Kairi Hojo, back when Kairi had a name. So that'll probably come at the end of the month. But if that's not going to give enough Starlight Kid for you, I gave Rob the task of what matches in what order we're going to be watching for the month of February. So Rob, why don't you tell the listeners of the Patreon what the first match in February that we're going to be doing alternate commentary to is?
So, in spirit of Starlight Kid and Azumi, we'll be looking back at Yokohama Cinderella back in October 2020, and we'll be doing Starlight Kid versus Azumi for the High Speed Championship. One of my favorite matches, and to my mind, I said this on the Patreon. To my mind, top 3 best high speed matches ever.
And I've never seen that before, and I will not watch that match until Rob and I put our soundtrack to it. So yeah, it just happens. Usually, we'll do, like, again, March we're doing everything Momo Watanabe. April we're doing everything, Insane April for Kairi. It just happens that all this Starlight Kid stuff just happened to line up, and very popular here with the folks on the Stardom Cast. So that's what we have coming up Also, just a real quick preview, just a little tease. I've been asked a handful of times if we're going to be doing on the Patreon some sort of contest for the upcoming Cinderella tournament. Yes, we will. We'll be talking more about that as we get closer to the Cinderella tournament. But one of the prizes that you can win will be art from my daughter, Lily. I just posted yesterday. She did this phenomenal piece of Aphrodite, Utami Hayashishita, and Saya Kamatani. Absolutely blown away just how good she is and just so much better at art she's getting. And I also want to say thanks I posted on my personal Facebook, I posted it on my Twitter and my Instagram. And I just want to thank everybody for all the nice comments, the retweets, the shares, the likes. My daughter, she's an 18-year-old female teenager, so she struggles with confidence issues. And not only that, but when you're 18 years old, Rob, you're trying to figure out what you want to go in life. And when I show her all these likes and retweets and all these nice things, it really bumps her confidence up. And I can't say thank you enough. That really, really, helps her out, knowing that's what she's going to go for and probably what she wants to do for the rest of her life. And also, too, last night before I went to bed, got a like from the Red Queen herself, Utami Hayashishita, on the artwork. So that really, really pumped her up when I showed her that this morning. So again, I can't thank you enough for all the kind words that everybody says.
I mean, you showed me last night, and the color she's using is incredible. The shadow, especially on Utami, looks absolutely incredible. She's, I said to you, it makes me a little bit jealous that she's that good at something, but I'm made up for her. She fully deserves. She's very, very talented girl, and what better prize for this upcoming Cinderella?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we'll talk more about that later because there's folks, hang on to the Patreon because there's a lot of revamping. Me and Rob talk about every day. We got a lot of really cool things coming up in the next few months with updating and upgrading the Patreon. But we're just trying to iron things out. We don't want to let the sauce out until it's fully cooked, if I'm going to use an Italian term here.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some fantastic ideas going on, and let's say second quarter of this year is going to be very, very exciting for fans of the Stardom cast. Let's kick into some news then, and tickets are unsurprisingly selling very, very well for the upcoming Supreme Fight 2023 pay-per-view. The website currently is saying that the only advanced tickets that aren't sold out are some of the limited to age 25 tickets and the Arena A seats. The front row VIP are sold out. Arena S seats are sold out. Front row seats on the second floor sold out. Second floor stand A sold out. Female only seats A and B are sold out. Under 25 seats in Arena A are sold out, and all the family seats are sold out. And they have put underneath that no same day tickets will be sold. And we're going to be doing our full preview of the show next week, because obviously this show is the 4th of February. But it's a stacked card anyway, and I think both of us have commented on how good this card actually is, Matt. But
yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's absolutely fine. Sorry. It was a really inopportune moment for a burp to come out, so I apologize.
I try to cover your disgust, but go ahead, brother.
Honestly, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you covering my botch there. But yeah, I wonder how much of this as well is to do with the return of cheering to Stardom, because it can't be undersold just how long we've waited for cheering back in Stardom.
I think it's a perfect storm between you literally have the wrestler that they've been wanting pretty much to put the red belt on, and they did it at the perfect time. You have this unfinished story with her and Suzuki on top. You have co-main eventing, and obviously we'll get into more into this next week, and I'm so excited to preview this show. Co-main eventing, Saya Kamatani trying to break the record up against Momo Watanabe, and there's so many different diverse storylines go into that. I actually wrote an article that I'm still waiting for Rob to read to make sure it's not dog crap to put on the website.
Oh, so, I've read it. I have actually read it. I've read it, people. Come on. Just forgot to tell Matt I'd read it.
Tell me on air. Is it okay?
No, dreadful. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I can't wait to review your books. Oh, baby. I'm going to make my comeback, baby.
All 57 of them.
But yeah, so that'll I just got to finish editing that, but that'll be up on the Stardom Cast website probably the next few days. But yeah, I mean, you have that match, you have a tag match is just going to be hard hitting. That whole card is just completely stacked, and not only that, but you have like a mini rumble where the winner's going to get a title shot. We don't know who's winning, what title shot they're going for. They're running a really good venue. It's Supreme Fight / the 12th anniversary. So you have all these storylines just melding together. And I didn't know what tickets were selling. Obviously, I literally learned most of my news from this podcast. So thanks, buddy.
More than welcome.
But I know what a guy, folks. He should write books. But I know we talked about a few weeks ago if this show would do over 3,000, and I think we both said yes. So I just kind of want to just pick your brain. You're looking at all the tickets and the way it's tracking. You think, what do you think? I'm just guessing. Just throw it out there. There's no right or wrong answer here. But based on what you just said, how many tickets do you think were already pre-sold for this show? Like in just the ballpark figure.
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I don't know the full wrestling capacity of the Edion Arena. I think it's about, I think we said between 5,500 and 6,000, but I don't know obviously what the COVID restrictions are going to be and what a COVID sellout will be at Edion Arena. So I would be very, very surprised if we look under 3,000 for this. I'd say you're looking at 3,200, I reckon we get for this. Because, again, not only is it a stacked card, you've got Giulia on top, finally having won the red belt against her rival, Suzu Suzuki. You've got all that history between Saya Kamitani and Momo Watanabe and the white belt. You've got, like you mentioned, that Rumble, that sort of gauntlet singles match. Love that idea, something completely new. It's going to be really, really, really exciting. And, again, I think the fact that we get cheering again will be sort of helping along those ticket sales. We'll move on then a little bit because the ShuPro Fan Awards have been announced. And again, I just want to make perfectly clear, these are fan-voted awards. But there's been some interesting people in interesting categories. So just in terms of Stardom for a minute, the Women's Grand Prix has been won by Sourei. For the second year in a row, the best unit for both men and women has been won by Cosmic Angels. And the Newcomer Award has been won by Miyu Amasaki. So congratulations to Miyu and to Sourei. But we've got some other categories here, and I'll be perfectly honest, thank you to @KieranRH93 on Twitter, because I've screenshotted these just so I didn't have to go through all of them. So just in terms of Stardom wrestlers, the favourite wrestler, in fourth place, we had Tam Nakano. Fifth, Starlight Kid. 7, Unagi Sayaka. 8, Mina Shirakawa. 10, Giulia. 11, Natsupoi. 12, Saya Kamitani. 13, Mayu Iwatani. And 18, Utami Hayashishita. The ShuPro Fan Awards for Best Match. In 10th place, we have got Mayu versus Kairi from Historic Crossover. We have also got Giulia versus Suzu Suzuki from the 5-star final, the 1st of October. And then in 4th place, we have got Natsupoi versus Tam from Fight in the Top, which I thought was quite an interesting addition to this. Just for a little bit of context, Okada versus Ospreay, the G1 final was number 1. El Desperado versus Kasai from the Just Tap Out show, which got a lot of buzz, I know that. And then Tanahashi versus Kenta from Wrestle Kingdom 16 rounded out the top 3. Last couple of categories, and then I'll throw to you, Matt. In terms of the best foreigner, that was perhaps unsurprisingly won by Will Ospreay. But in 10th place, which was nice to see, was Tekla. So it's nice to see her getting the recognition she deserves. And as I've already mentioned, obviously, the best unit was won by Cosmic Angels with Oedo Tai in third place, which was nice to see. Prominence coming in at 7, and Queen's Quest coming in at 10. What is your opinion of that, Matt?
Let's get the negative thing out of the way and the thing that everybody, I don't know what's going on in the water over there in Japan. Queen's Quest number 10. I think you take away the 0 there. You're somewhat right. You have a 1 and 0. Take the 0 away. Queen's Quest number 1. Bow down. But Cosmic Angels finishing as the top unit. Tam being number 4. So I believe she's the number 1 Joshi wrestler on that list. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rob.
Yep, she is. Tanahashi, Naito, and Okada are 1, 2, and 3.
And then her match was I'm assuming Shuri and Giulia from Dream Queendom probably didn't make the cutoff date because I figured that would have been higher up, and I didn't hear you announce it. So I'm assuming maybe they had a cutoff date for this. But it sounded like Tam and Natsupoi was that the highest ranked Joshi match?
It was indeed, yeah.
Well, what does that tell you? What I've been saying on this podcast for a year. All Tam's world, and we're just living in it. It's a good one. Shockingly, though, that she had, and again, hey, Starlight Kid was number 5, proving our theory we just talked about 15 minutes ago. Everybody loves Starlight Kid, and I think we even talked about it when we did our alternate commentary of her and Mayu, again, which is dropping this Monday, is that Starlight Kid is so good and so charismatic, it literally is only going to take like a blink of an eye before they turn her to super baby face. Like they always say, the best heels make the best baby faces, and that's so true. And I literally think anytime they want to pull the trigger on her to maybe be a top baby face, it's not going to take much. But I'm shocked Unagi was very high up there as well, and I'm a little shocked that Mayu never finishes in the top 5 of these categories. I understand Tanahashi, Okada, Naito are so loved, and I get that, and they're on the biggest stage. But I always figure Mayu, she's just such a fan favorite. I always figured that she'd finish in the top 4 or 5 of these, but she still finished with a pretty good number. But yeah, again, it's fan voted. I'm not going to get too upset over it. I'm not going to lose any sleep. I will probably maybe slam something once we're off this podcast that they voted Queen's Quest, the number 10 unit. I believe I looked at the fact that they had House of Torture 2 or 3 stages above Queen's Quest. I don't know what's going on, but I'll get over it, folks. I'm a big boy.
Karen Peterson is absolutely livid somewhere.
Hi, Karen.
So our friend of the show, our Money Shoe Exchange, did this last year where they sort of analysed the movers and the shakers of these awards, and it's always interesting to know the breakdown. And they've said actually that in terms of the top 50 favourite wrestlers, the voting trend looks like this. So in terms of all 50, 17 were from New Japan, 4 from Noah, 3 were Freelance, 2 were from Tokyo Joshi Pro, 1 from Freedoms, 1 from All Japan, 1 from Secret Base, and 1 from WWE, and 20 from Stardom. So 40% of that top 50 are Stardom wrestlers, which is quite the achievement. That's a change of +5 from last year, where they had obviously 15, as did New Japan. But this time, obviously, Stardom are far and away the most represented. In terms of the individual movers who have got more additional votes, Suzu Suzuki has 19 more, Kairi has 18 more, Waka Tsukiyama, which I'm very proud to see, has got 16 more, Saika Matani 14 more, and then we've got Natsupoi at 9, Himika at 9, Hazuki at 8, and Koguma with 6 more than last year. So it's good to see a lot more recognition for Stardom this year, Matt.
I mean, what do you want me to say? Stardom was number 1. I've been telling everybody that for a year. There's nobody hot flying the Stardom flag bigger and better than me. But yeah, it's nice to see that they had 5 more than New Japan that was finished second. So I mean, it just goes to show, we talk about it all the time, the growth of this company, just the quality of this company, the booking of this company, just the matches that they're putting on, the storylines. I mean, this company is literally firing at all cylinders. And again, I said it ad nausea last year, and I'll probably say it again this year. This is what Stardom did in 2022 is one of the greatest single years I've ever seen from any wrestling company in my 35 years of being just obsessed with professional wrestling. And I find it hard pressed that they're not going to have just as good, if not a better, 2023.
Absolutely. And thank you again to Armani Shoe Exchange for those trends. Final bit of news, and this comes of courtesy of Red Leaf Retrocast, whose Twitter handle I've completely forgotten because I've somehow cropped it out of the photo. So I think it's Bowling JD, I think. Go and follow them on Twitter. But they've summarised some notes from the Wrestling Observer Radio. And there's some information in terms of Mercedes Moné. Now, obviously, we know that she is due to wrestle Kairi at Battle in the Valley on the 13th of February. 18th of February, I think. But she's actually booked for 2 more dates. So she's booked for the Yokohama Arena show in April for Stardom. And she's also booked on a New Japan show at Sumo Hall, again, in April. Now, presumably that is the show that is ordinarily Sakura Genesis, but was Hyper Battle, I believe, last year. But it looks like we have got Mercedes Moné for the Yokohama Arena show, Matt. Another big name to put to that match. Hopefully, we'll see Mercedes Moné going into the Stardom Rumble, entering at 5 and being eliminated with very little pomp and circumstance. I imagine that's how they'll use her, Matt.
I wasn't thinking that way, but as always, Horacio Gawa, give this man the book. And I don't mean the many books he's already writing. I mean, let this man book Stardom. There it is, folks. Probably the second best booking thing I've heard on this show in the last 2 weeks. Obviously, my dream of Waka winning the red belt that I booked last week did not happen. I missed opportunity. Boy, I tell you. But what does that? I mean, does that mean she beats Kairi for the belt, or it's just like maybe she loses at the Battle in the Valley, the San Jose show, and then they build her back up here? You know, they give her a win over. I mean, geez, there's a litany of people that they can put her up in the ring against, and then she has a really, really big match at the Yokohama show. So I mean, there's a bunch of different things they can do, a bunch of different things that they can go with it. Regardless, I think it's super exciting because I totally see her being on the Dominion show, and I see her being booked in the future because I think she's going to have a really good match with Kairi. I mean, there's no way that match can be bad, and I think that's what Mercedes wants right now. I mean, she's getting paid very, very well. And obviously, she's made tons of money on her previous WWE run, and she earned every cent of that. And she has all these other endeavors that she's involved in. So financially, she's going to be well set off. I think where her priority lies is she just wants to go on and put like the best matches she's ever had. She's had some barn burners in NXT and WWE, but you know she had this one with Kairi. We know we're going to get one with Mayu. She mentioned Dazumi. Utami's a match. Giulia. I mean, what if say she loses this match to Kairi, right? And whatever. She's the type of person that can lose this match and it's not going to hurt her. And then she wins that New Japan match. She wins the match at Yokohama. She has a couple wins in New Japan and Stardom. And then maybe like right after the 5-star, she has a red belt match against Giulia. And, you know, maybe she puts Giulia and then maybe that's her last match before she eventually goes back to WWE, which I think that's what she's going to ultimately do. I think she just wants to have these barn burner matches. There's a lot there that they can do. I'm really, really excited to see. Yeah, I mean, who knows? Maybe she does enter the Rumble and she's eliminated at 5. I mean, that's a possibility they can go with as well. But hey, we'll see. And our job here, folks, because we love you, is we're going to bring you all of it with our opinions as well. So, and we'll see if Rob's right or wrong.
Imagine if I'm right. I mean, what that tells me is that they are going all out for this Yokohama Arena show, and of course you would. Of course you would. It's another big match as well. You've got the red belt match, you've got the white belt match, and then you have got this Mercedes Moné singles match. Whether it's for a belt or whether it's just a special singles match, you throw anyone in that match. Mayu, Hazuki, Azumi even. They are fantastic matchups that bring more eyes to the pay-per-view. I mean, if there was more prestige around the SWA belt, she would be perfect to hold that SWA belt. Because that way then she can wrestle all of the Stardom roster. Hell, I know that she name-dropped Yamashita from TJPW. Like, wrestle her. Wrestle her for it at the New Japan show at Sumo Hall. It'd be perfect.
Jungle Kyona's back. Jungle Kyona's back in Japan. I would love to see that match.
Absolutely, touting a GHC women's division. So, you know what? Bring them all together. But yes.
Did you see the ticket prices for this Yokohama show, Rob?
I didn't, no.
Somebody tweeted at me and sent me a picture of how much they're going for. Now, I don't know what this would be in British pounds, but American money, front row tickets, $2,300.
For the Yokohama show?
Yeah, for the Stardom Yokohama show. And I believe, I don't know if they've sold out or it's a pre-sale, but that's what was, and it was tweeted at me from multiple different people. And I don't know, and I apologize that I didn't get who tweeted at me. So whether that's true or not, I don't know, but it was like $2,200 or $2,300, which goes to show me that they're going to probably bring in other people outside of Mercedes Moné. I would not be shocked to see them bring in some other big name if they're going to be like wheeling and dealing on this show.
That's an outrageous amount of money, especially when you consider it's a huge venue. So if they can get all those tickets gone, that's a huge, huge chunk of profit. Let's move on then. Let's look at two shows that we are going to be reviewing today. We're going to start with New Blood 7 from Friday, the 20th of January, 2023, from Bell Cell at Takadanobaba in Tokyo, with an attendance of 307 people. A slightly disappointing attendance, but they more than made up for that with the sellout that they would do the following night. I'll read through the results and then Matt will go through it and pick out what we like about the matches. So, match 1, singles match, Rina defeating Moran with the Pink Devil in 7 minutes and 16 seconds. Match 2 saw Ruaka defeat Marika Kobashi with the Freezer Bomb in 6 minutes and 34 seconds. Match 3 was the Passion Injection match, Nene Takahashi defeating Waka Tsukiyama with the Refrigerator Bomb in 11 minutes and 43 seconds. We then had 4 quarterfinals for the New Blood Tag Team Championships. So Nanami and Ami Sourei defeated Momoka Hanazano and Momo Koga with the Blue Thunder Bomb in 11 minutes and 53 seconds. Chan Yota and Mai Sakurai defeated the Queen's Quest team of Lady C and Hina, with Mai Sakurai adopting that dreadful elbow drop again in 9 minutes and 5 seconds. Starlight Kid and Karma defeated the Club Venus team of Zaya Brookside and Mariah May, with Karma getting the pinfall with the Schoolboy in 12 minutes and 26 seconds. And then finally, in our main event, a predictably fantastic match, the God's Eye team of Mirai and Tomoka Inaba defeated the Wingori team of Hanan and Saya Ida, with Mirai getting the pinfall with the Mirror Shock over Saya Ida in 12 minutes and 2 seconds. Plenty to talk about coming out of this match, Matt, whether it be stuff sorted for the Yokohama Budokan show, which obviously they've got coming up in March, New Blood Premium, down to just general match quality, which I thought on the whole, give or take the odd match, was fairly decent.
Yeah, I thought this was the best of the 7 New Blood shows. The first 2 or 3 were pretty good. I think 3... 4 and 5 kind of missed the mark. 6 got a little bit better. This to me was hands down the best New Blood 7 show, and it's a shame that the attendance was down at this point for 307 people, because whoever didn't go to the show missed the heck of a show. But yeah, I enjoyed everything. I mean, we don't have to spend all day on it, but I just kind of want to get some star ratings. Like Rena and Moran, you said that she's only 13, 14 years old?
She is indeed.
So their combined age is about 11 years less than my
correct,
how long I've been on the planet. But I thought it was really, really good. Strike could have been a little bit better from the two of them, but obviously they will get there. I had this one at 3.25 stars. I really enjoyed it for an opener.
I had 3 stars. I thought they both did very, very well. You mentioned the strike. It doesn't strike me, pun intended, as
what a guy.
Honestly,
yes.
Man, honestly,
yes.
I'm here all week. I don't feel like striking is either woman's main game, to be perfectly honest, but I do think Rena did the whole heel shtick very, very well here. You really did sort of hate her by the end when she's pinned Moran with the Pink Devil, but overall 3 stars. Thought both women did very, very well. The next match, the Kobashi versus Ruaka match, I did think of you when literally the first move was Kobashi doing her version of the Kobashi chops in the corner.
Again, like we talked about when we previewed this last week, I've never seen Kabashi wrestle before, but the fact that I'm watching a match from somebody by the name of Kabashi that I'm going to be reviewing for this podcast, and she was wearing orange, and she had a fantastic entrance. I wasn't sure what type of music, and then halfway through, it turned into like a metal thing. She started headbanging. I'm not going to lie, when I was watching this match, I was a few beers in, and my tolerance isn't what it used to be, so I literally stood up in my living room and started chanting, Kobashi, Kobashi, as if it was 1994 and I was in the Nippon Budokan Hall, and my wife looked at me in utter disgust, as she should have. Yeah, she starts off with the machine gun chops, and then the match to me kind of was all downhill. I just didn't think these two gelled very well together. I thought Kabashi, she had a very striking presence. I thought she seemed very comfortable in her own shoes, but just seemed like these two didn't gel well. I'd like to see her in the ring again, maybe with a Hana and a Tomoka Inaba, something, Mirai, someone of that nature, because I just think that this wasn't the best way to showcase her here. I gave this one the gentleman's 3 stars.
Yeah, nothing dreadfully special or things you should go out of your way to see. It is worth noting, of course, that this was initially supposed to be a 3-way, but then Lady C got taken out because of the Miyu Amasaki injury. Yeah, it was fine, but I was more interested in the match that followed it, which of course was the Passion Injection match, Nene Takahashi and Waka Tsukiyama, which I thoroughly enjoyed. We predicted on the preview show that it would be just as it was for Lady C. We predicted this would be the best Waka Tsukiyama singles match, and I think it absolutely was, Matt.
I literally had my first note, must discuss with Rob, that was this Waka's best match, very much like Lady C was. And of course, an ocean between us, and you're looking at my notes, but yes, this was the best Waka singles match, as she took a beating here. But as ever since Nene Takahashi's been back, on the Stardom roster, has no problem giving a good majority of the match to her opponents, and that just she's been winning a majority of her matches, so that just goes to make her look better as she builds her opponent up and then beats her. But this was definitely the best Waka match. I thought this was really, really good. We all knew Waka wasn't winning, but once again, a lot of that crowd bit on these falsies, man. I tell you, she's just so damn good. So damn good, but I thought it was really good. I thought the post-match stuff was really good between the two of them. I had this one at 3 3/4 stars.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got it at the same. We talk about this quite a lot. It's not necessarily that you lose, it's how you lose. And I feel like, for Waka, who, bless her, has spent the last 18 months looking at the lights, she's certainly carved herself a little popularity niche in doing so. And I think this storyline with Cosmic Angels, this storyline with Tam giving her this ultimatum, and that date getting closer and closer and closer, has really added to her matches. It's really added to the story. It's added to her desperation. It's added to the fire that she brings to her matches. And of course, after this match, Nene gives her all the credits in the world. I thought Nene did really well actually in this match and gave Waka a lot, just like she did with the Lady C match. I've said before and I'll say again, this is the perfect spot for Nene Takahashi. Don't give her belts. This is what she should be doing, putting over the younger talent or the less experienced talent, or not even necessarily losing to them, but just, giving them their best singles matches and getting them to learn from her. But she puts Waka over, and then Waka, who's in tears, she says she wants to take on Nene Takahashi one more time at New Blood Premium at Yokohama Budokan. So that looks like it is going to be confirmed, that singles match. That will be the final match of the 3 months that Tam gave Waka to show some improvement and win or leave Cosmic Angels. And this has thrown up a load of questions. We had quite a few in our Discord, actually, about, okay, so what happens here? Does Waka Tsukiyama beat Nene Takahashi, or does Waka leave Cosmic Angels? I mean, we saw both Tam and Mina Shirakawa out with her, sort of offering their support. Obviously, Mina Shirakawa still with Cosmic Angels at the moment. But it did look to me, and it might be because I'm just looking for stuff, but it did seem that Mina was far more supportive of Waka than Tam was, Matt.
Yeah, I think maybe just because Tam is the group leader and she just keeps losing. We mentioned it before. If you're the captain of your football/soccer team and the goalie keeps just giving up, 8 goals, 9 goals, 10 goals, and you're going to be more on them and more, frustrated than you are like, somebody that's, third or fourth tier, on your team. So that's a possibility here. But you mentioned the question just a minute ago there, my friend. What happens here? Now, I don't think Nene, other than her getting beat by Shuri when they had that World of Stardom Championship match, I don't think she took a fall in the tag league. I think that was all you. I could be wrong, and I don't think she's taken a fall yet in the Triangle Derby. Regardless, even if she has, there's been very few people that have been able to pin her in Stardom in the last 5 or 6 months. So does Waka go on that list? Does she beat her here, or does she lose a close one again? And then she gets kicked out of Cosmic Angels. Maybe she pulls a Unagi and she goes on excursion for a couple months and then comes back, or maybe she goes to Club Venus. I don't know. I don't know which way they're going, but damn, buddy, I'm intrigued. I'm hooked, line, and sinker when they do that show on the 25th of March at New Blood Premium, which sounds like a cheap beer. I'm gonna be really intrigued on which way they go. So yeah, it's they're doing a great job with this Waka storyline because there's so many different ways they can go, and I have no idea which way they're going.
It would be so good for Nene Takahashi, who's gotten one pinfall since she's been back in Stardom. I mean, they haven't lost a match yet, 7-Up in the Triangle Derby, the 3-0. And yeah, in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League, I believe it was you that took all of the pinfalls. So for her to be built so strong, and then for Waka to pin her at the Yokohama Budokan, they wouldn't, would they? But it would be...
It's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt Nene at all.
It would be such a scalp for Waka. She's never won a match. And to to pin the longest reigning red belt champion of all time, and that be your first scalp in Stardom, and then have the ability to turn around to Tam and go, nah, you're all right, I'm going with Club Venus. Like, that gives a lot of power to Waka. Do I see that happening? I don't know. I mean, you have got to do something special.
Me?
You, personally. To do good numbers on the back of the New Blood brand, to do good numbers at the Yokohama Budokan. That's my main concern at the moment, is that the Yokohama Budokan, can hold 1,500, 1,600 people from what I can remember in terms of COVID. If you want to get near that number, and I will say now, I don't think they will. I think you're looking at more 700, 800. But just on the back of the New Blood brand, if they were to add title matches on there, that's a different story. But this gives it that level of intrigue. I mean, this is the match I'm most looking forward to. I don't care about the New Blood tag titles now. I am just into this match. I mean, does she go to a time limit draw, maybe?
Oh, you just threw something else in there. Oh, man. Well, Robin, you already had a crazy booking idea. I had a crazy booking idea last show. I'm going to come up with another crazy booking idea. You ready for this?
I don't know, Matt.
Well, too bad. I'm going to give it to you because everyone loves our crazy booking ideas, nonsensical booking ideas. So Waka wins. Tim's like, congratulations, you're staying here. Waka gives her the DX crotch chop, and then you hear, break it down, and Waka joins DX.
The idea of Waka doing... lovely, innocent Waka doing that. Waka, who was in tears at the end of the IWGP Women's Championship match just because she was so emotional. And she... Yeah, I'll be honest, that probably is what's going to happen. Yeah,
I love it.
I am intrigued. But yeah, 3 3/4 stars. I thought this was really, really, really well done. Again, this is exactly what Nene Takahashi should have been brought back to do. Let's kick into this New Blood tournament quarterfinals then. Obviously, that first match was Nanami and Ami Sourei going over Momoka Hanazano and Momo Kogo. What did you think, Matt, of this?
I know this is pretty good. I always jokingly give, whenever I review these Hanazoa matches, I always say she uses the bubble gun in front of the ref, and she should be disqualified. I kind of say that tongue-in-cheek, but they actually distracted the ref when she brought out the bubble gun. I was like, brilliant! Finally, this is overall though I thought this was solid. These shows are so good for like the middle card of Stardom. Like we'll talk about how great Mai Sakurai was. Obviously, I know you didn't like the finish, but like Momokogo, Mai Sakurai, like, all these people that are in the middle card of Stardom that only get like 5 or 6 minutes, or if they're in a big multi-person match, they're overshadowed, and rightfully so, by like a Hazuki and Mayu. But I thought Momokogo in these new blood shows, I thought she was great. I thought Ami Sourei great. Nanami, I've only seen a little bit of. Obviously, she's still very young in the business, has a way to go, but has a lot of potential. But overall, I thought this was a solid match. I had it at 3.5 stars.
Yeah, me too. It was slightly overshadowed by Izumi coming out at the end, which was a little bit of a shame, but I'm more than happy that they're giving a little bit more of a spotlight on Nanami. I thought Momokogo, again, looked really, really good in this. She continues to improve, becoming a really solid member of Stars. And actually, I thought the H&M's versus Prominence match, which we're going to talk about, I thought she did an absolutely stellar job, as did Hannon, during that match. It's one of my favourite matches of the tournament so far, actually. But overall, I think the right choice. God's Eye having really strong representation in this tournament. But post-match, Izumi comes out, challenges Momoka Hanazono, who, of course, previously challenged for the high-speed belt unsuccessfully. Izumi invites her to take part in a Falls Count Anywhere match at Stardom in Showcase Volume 4, which is due to take place on February the 26th in Kobe. So we've got confirmation of Stardom in Showcase Volume 4, and I think the first confirmed match is going to be Izumi versus Momoka Hanazono in that Falls Count Anywhere match. And their match for the high-speed belt was fantastic, so I'm looking forward to this Falls Count Anywhere match. I'll be honest, I've made no secret that the Stardom in Showcase shows they're not my favourite bit of Stardom, but this has the potential to be very good, Matt.
Yeah, I can see them doing some high-speed stuff, like on the outside, or like on a rampway, or on a bike, or whatever the heck they do on these, or going down a staircase. Remember poor Mayu, she got kicked down 94 flights of stairs, or when Koguma did the slide on the giant inflatable slide. I wouldn't be shocked if the finish is Izumi just locking Hanazono in the Izumi Sushi, and she does the Izumi Sushi all the way down the slide, and then once they get to the end, that's where the ref is and counts 3. I think that'll probably be the finish.
That's a great idea.
Regardless, it should be fun. Yeah, it's these Stardom and Showcase shows we've talked about in this podcast before. That's kind of like their own thing. It's kind of almost like a Bizarro World. If you want to reference comics here, it's kind of like their own kind of fun little thing. But I'd rather Stardom proper. But yeah, whoever the other two people are going to be involved in this Falls Count Anywhere match, it'll probably be a 4-way like how they have been. I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun.
Sorry, I've just seen on our Discord that it looks like from today, the 26th. Yeah, the 26th. The government in Japan is making adjustments to effectively lift the restrictions on the spread of the new coronavirus. So it's possible to cheer and encourage with a loud voice when the seats are full. We will continue to ask you to wear a mask at the venue, but yeah, looks like it's taking effect from the 27th.
Wow, breaking news. Wow, good one. You're like a news hound, author, news hound, all-around good guy.
Sorry, Velkage had put it on the Discord, and for some strange reason, I'm not getting the notifications, so I'm not ignoring you guys. But yeah, that's amazing. That's really, really, really good news. So, oh my God, we're getting cheering back, Matt.
Yeah, overall, hey, that's great. That's great, because I can only cheer so much from my living room, folks. I can only drink so many beers at 3 a.m. and yelling Kobashi, Kobashi, but I'm doing my part,
Absolutely, and we appreciate that, Matt, of course. Let's move on then. So the next quarterfinal was the debut of Chan Yota, and she teamed with Mai Sakurai, defeating the Queen's Quest team of Lady C and Hina. It was fairly obvious that Chan Yota was very nervous, as you would be. It's your debut match for Stardom. I think she looked okay. They did a lot of the whole sort of strength thing. She does appear to be ungodly strong. There was a couple of moments where she was in the wrong position. There was one very telling moment where Lady C physically had to move her into position. But overall, it was it was fine. Unfortunately, of course, we did end up with a diving elbow drop. Don't do it anymore, Mai Sakurai. You've got the really cool leg drop. Use that. Don't use the diving elbow drop anymore.
Yeah, we thought we were done with that. I think I even texted you as soon as that move happened, and I was like, I think she's removing that to add this in. And then sorry, buddy, I think I gave you a false sense of hope. But as far as this match goes, this match so overachieved because you have obviously Chen Yota's never worked, never tagged with Mai Sakurai before, at least in this Stardom setting. Lady C and Hina was literally put together last minute, even though they are members of Queen's Quest, who, by the way, again, should be way higher than number 10 on that list. Regardless, I thought Lady C and Hina were fantastic together. I thought Mai Sakurai looked great here. Chen Yota was off on a few little things here or there, but I thought Lady C and Hina did a really good job covering up. I really enjoyed this match. There was a lot of 2 counts towards the end of this match, which just goes to show how important this match was on the card and the tournament, that they were really trying to get a pinfall. These 4 ladies were trying to get a pinfall by any means necessary. But for a 9-minute match, I thought this was great. It was the perfect spot in the card. I had it 3 3/4 stars. Again, I thought this match overachieved, and I absolutely enjoyed myself.
Yeah, I thought it was decent. I thought it was a really good sort of opening stand for Chen Yota. They're clearly very hot on Chen Yota because even though sort of sponsors weren't happy about her past and she was pulled from previous cards, they've brought her back. So, if they weren't particularly bothered, they wouldn't have bothered bringing her back. So the fact that they have shows that they are hot on her. She's gone through into the semi-finals. She's going to be in a prominent position at the Yokohama Budokan show because both semi-finals and the final will take place on that show. So, yeah, it was fine. It wasn't the strongest of the quarterfinals, but it did its job. And, kudos to Lady C and Hina for teaming up and doing a good job, despite being thrown together at the last minute. Starlight Kid and Karma versus Club Venus, then. The first thing we need to talk about, Matt. Oh, my God, the Karma voice. Oh, my God. What are they doing with that character?
I have no idea, buddy, but that might have been really the only negative thing about this match. I think maybe they were going for a Kane 1997 thing, because that's kind of where it was coming to me. I was like, oh. At first, I thought there was something wrong with my TV, because what happened was I actually, when I was getting ready for work and just doing some stuff around the house, I put the show on, and I caught the tail end. So I was watching it live. I caught the tail end of the previous match. So this match started, and then by the time I got done watching it, because it was so good, I thought this was the main event. But if you want my opinion on the voice, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I really don't. But what'd you think about the match?
I thought the match was really good, actually. I thought it's the best we've seen Karma, and that's because Karma literally toned down any of the ridiculousness. We didn't have any fireballs or anything like that.
We did.
Oh, man, don't tell. Oh, yes, of course we did, because that's how we got to the finish.
But the psychology behind the fireball I thought was great. I liked how the spot they used for it.
It was better, yeah. I did like Xia Brooks and Mariah May refusing to get into the ring with Karma because she was scary, but only wanted to get in with Starlight Kid because she was cute. And then Starlight Kid beating them up, which I thought was quite funny. But overall, again, this was a match that I wasn't sure about going in, and I keep saying this about Karma, and it's not fair because Umasaki is a very talented wrestler. It's just this gimmick is very ill thought out, as proved by the ridiculous voice changer stuff. If you haven't seen it, please go and check it out. It's free on YouTube. The voice changer stuff is hilarious. But overall, I thought it was far better chemistry between Kid and Karma, and I thought Club Venus, again, proved how well they are gelling as a team.
Yeah, I thought Xia Brooks and Mariah May were great. I thought that opening exchange between Starlight Kid and Mariah May was very high speed-esque. And Mariah May her timing was perfect. She was there for everything. And I think I texted you either after this match or sometime later in the day that, like, Starlight Kid on these New Blood shows can go 75-80%, and nobody would bat an eye. She still would be the best worker. But on a lot of these shows, she goes pretty close to 100, and here she was like 100 to 110%. She was like Starlight Kid, on a big show in front of like 3,000 people, even though there was only 300 here. She was so good here. She made Xia Brookside look good. She made Mariah May look good. All of her stuff with Karma I thought was really good. This was hands down the best we've seen of Karma. And I talked about before on the show that if she's going to be Yumasaki, Karma, whatever you want to call her, if she's going to be in Oedo Tai, she needs to meld the two personas together. She needs to be not as like crazy and not as Kane 1997 as the Karma character, and as Yumasaki, she needs to be a little bit more aggressive. And I think that's what we got here. I thought this was fantastic. This was, other than probably the Mirai Suzuki match from New Blood, I think it was 3 or 4, probably my favorite New Blood match ever. I absolutely love this match, the way that they built up towards the finish. Again, Karma having some problem with the fireball. Go watch your Jerry Lawler videos, because some 40 years ago, he had no problem with it. But she, again, had a little problem with the fireball. But I liked how it led to Xia Brookside saw coming. She ducked, hit her with a big head kick. She tried to roll her up, and then she wound up getting rolled up. So it was like kind of a reversal of a finish that I thought basically leapt off the page after we had this really, really solid match. Again, I love this match. I thought this was how good this match was when I was watching it live, because I didn't know that the main event, I thought maybe it went on earlier. I thought this was the main event because it was that good. I had it 4.25 stars. I absolutely love this match.
Wow, you liked it considerably more than me. Don't get me wrong, it's a good match, but I thought there was better matches on this show. Again, I agree with everything you've said. The Karma thing, I think, just make that your more aggressive side. I think that would work instead of delving into the spooky shenanigans and things like that. I don't feel like there's a massive market for that in Stardom. There's no real gimmicks like that in Stardom. There's no real gimmicks in Stardom, full stop, really. I don't know. But either way, wrestled very well. I gave it 3.5, so you liked it considerably more than me.
Wow. Yeah, usually we're only like maybe a 1/4 star or right around 1/4 or 1/2 star. That might be a new record for the Stardom cast there.
Indeed. It's beginning of the end, mate. Beginning of the end.
Don't say that.
So the quarterfinal match was our main event. The God's Eye team of Mirai and Tomoka Inaba defeating Wingori. This was fantastic. This was predictably fantastic. From the stuff between Inaba and Hanan, and then sort of moving from that mat wrestling and, sort of seeking out reversals and submissions into just all-out bludgeoning warfare between Mirai and Sayurida. And it was always going to be interesting to see how Sayurida would tackle the much taller Mirai with the clotheslines. Oh my God, there was not an issue in hell with that, because Sayurida threw absolutely everything into those lariats on Mirai, especially in that closing sequence. That tipped this over the edge from a 3 3/4 stars match to a 4 stars match. For me, that final exchange between Mirai and Sayurida, in my eyes, this is one of the best outings for Sayurida in a long, long time. And Sayurida's great, but I thought she did a really, really, really good job. And I think, especially recently, she's been overshadowed, through no fault of anyone's, but she's been overshadowed a little bit by Hanan, who, her progress has been fantastic. And obviously she's just come off the back of that really good Future of Stardom run. But here I felt like she was the centerpiece. Yes, she took the pinfall. Fine. Many, many people have earned pinfalls from Mirai this year. But overall, I thought the chemistry here was absolutely fantastic. And my only criticism is that one of them had to not go through to the semi-final.
Yeah, so you had this at 4 stars?
Yep.
Wow, even though we were off so much on the last match, dead on this one, 4 stars. Yeah, you hit it right on the nail, my you a home run on the on your review there, because I pretty much have the same notes that this match was fantastic. But the one thing, you have this Wingori team who overachieved a little bit in the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. And there was 2 big booking errors that, in my opinion, they did at the Goddess of Stardom Tag League. Obviously, I think everybody knows what I'll say is number 1, and we're not going to get on that. But number 2, Robin, they righted it wrong here. And I could be wrong, but Wingori never came out to Hanan's theme at all in the Goddess of Stardom tournament. And now, again, I'm getting ready for work. I'm getting my day going. I'm rocking and rolling. I'm getting my to-do list. I just watched this awesome tag match that we just talked about. And the next thing I hear is that fantastic Hanan theme. So I'm ready to go. It's Friday. I got the beers in the beer fridge. I'm ready to get my workday going, and then go home and have a drink or two. But they righted it wrong. They got hand and steam, and that's the way it should be. But
What a way to start your day, my man. I mean,
unbelievable. Unbelievable. Who needs coffee when you have, are you ready? Yeah. Yeah, this match was great. And you talked about, Saida pinning, getting pinned again, but she got pinned by Mirai. You know who else got pinned by Mirai the last 6 months? Giulia, Mayu Iwatani. So it's like, yeah, it's okay. They'll be all right. But Saida, she is, for the lack of a better term, the pin eater in Stars. But she does such a great job building everything up. And it was, you had the really cool Hanan versus Inaba exchange. And, I harken back to their 15-minute time limit draft for the Future of Stardom Championship. And I would love to see the two of them go back at it again. So there's really good, technical exchange. And then Mirai and Saida come in and they get tagged like they're shot out of a cannon. And they start shoulder tackling each other. And it just builds and builds and builds from there. But, yeah, this was absolutely great. Yeah, the one negative thing is somebody had to lose. But then again, you didn't want to see this to go to a draw, and then both of them get eliminated. So I guess we'll take the lesser of two evils. But yeah, again, 4 stars. I thought this was great and a really great way to cap off, like I said, what is my favorite New Blood show.
That does lead us to our semi-finals at New Blood Premium, which is going to be the 25th of March at the Yokohama Budokan, like we mentioned. The semi-finals stand thusly. Mirai and Tomoka Inaba will be taking on Ami Sourei and Nanami. And then in the other semi-final, you've got Starlight Kid and Karma taking on Mai Sakurai and Chan Yota. And then, of course, the final will also be on the same card later in the night. I assume, Matt, we did mention that we thought that it might be a Mirai and Tomoka Inaba and Starlight Kid and Karma final. These brackets don't change that for me. I still think it's going to be those two teams in the final.
Yeah, the scary part is me and you agree.
Are we still in agreement that we think Mirai and Tomoka Inaba are going to win?
I'm about 80% sure that that's going to be the final. I'm 60% sure that the God's Eye team are going to walk away with the belts.
I feel like with it being the inaugural belts as well, it would make sense to put them on a babyface.
Yeah, there you go.
Not to say that it wouldn't be a good thing to put them on heels. I mean, grizzled young veterans were the first NXT UK tag champs, and they're great. But they are also the heeliest of all the heels, so it does work and it can work, but it'll be interesting, certainly.
And then at the end of the show, they play Mirai's theme, and everybody can celebrate doing the Mirai clap theme, which I'm loving that theme as well. Absolutely.
I do just want to ask, and it might have been the way the show was mixed, but the crowd seemed really... I know there was only 307 in a room that can hold double that, but it did seem really quiet, didn't it?
Yeah. There were certain ebbs and flows in the last 2 matches where you got a little bit of something, but the first couple matches it just didn't seem like anybody wanted to do anything. Again, it could have been the way that the mics were or how it was mixed or whatever, but it didn't really seem like they were coming up for much other than the false finishes in the last 2 matches.
But they should every wrestler needs to take what Nene Takahashi has done into account, because when she first came out, I was like, oh my God, the reception Nene Takahashi's getting. Jesus, they love her in Tokyo. And then I realized the cheering is part of her theme. The cheering is part of the music. I was like, I feel cheated. But also, that's really genius. Exactly. That's what I was like. That's really clever. Why doesn't everyone do that?
Goldberg.
Nay. Then the following day, obviously, Stardom did another show. Well, they actually had technically two events at Takadanobaba with the awards show, their own award show from 2022, from Saturday, the 21st of January, 2023. The match portion itself selling out the Bell Salle Takadanobaba at 710 people. I'll run through the awards first, and then we'll sort of talk about the matches. So, in no particular order, our Stardom MVP was Sourei. Our best match was the Dream Queendom match between Sourei and Giulia from the 29th of December, surprising no one. Tag team was Meltier The Shining Award went to Tam Nakano. The Outstanding Performance Award went to Saya Kamatani. The Fighting Spirit Award to Starlight Kid. The Best Technical Skill went to Azumi. And the Best Unit Award to Stars. So, obviously, Matt, take these with a pinch of salt, but what did you think of these awards, and what do you think of the winners?
No problem with the winners at all. Again, when we did our Stardom Awards, I said when it comes to unit, you can literally make a strong case for everyone. The only thing is, and you're probably going to scratch your head when I say this, is I just don't understand how Meltier was Tag Team of the Year. Yes, I'm the biggest Meltier fan, the biggest Tam and Natsupoi fan, but they were only teaming for like 4 months. I just don't understand how it wasn't like FWC. They were really the only consistent team that team. Now, you had Mike and Himika, but they really didn't have a lot of tag matches up until the end of the year because they were both, they were both pushing them to get white belt and red belt matches. Other than maybe Momo and Starlight Kid, but Hazuki and Koguma, to me, I think they should have been the clear favorite to win Tag Team of the Year because they were the only team that really had tag matches all year. But again, anytime we see Tam win an award, I'm not going to get too bummed out. But that's kind of just what my only little kind of hiccup is like. Oh, they're only teaming for like 4 months in a year where Hazuki and Koguma absolutely killed it for the entire year. But other than that, yeah, I got no problem. Obviously, Shiri, Wrestler of the Year. I think I'd say Kamatani just edge her out in my own personal opinion, and Shiri and Giulia. Definitely the match of the year. One of the best Stardom matches you'll ever see, period.
Yeah, completely agree. With the Meltier thing, I do wonder, though, how much of it was, yes, they've only been teaming for like 4 months, but, in that time they were champions. They've done all of this cross promotional stuff with their single and things like that. They've brought a lot of eyes to the promotion, They're both very, very popular wrestlers, Tam and Natsupoi, so I wonder if that's something to do with it as well, as opposed to just outright tagging.
Yeah, single-handedly, they put 15,000 people on that Bushi Roadshow. That was, I think it was single-handedly just them on their, when they sang live, Double Frontiers live, so.
Absolutely. Let's kick into the results. I'll do what I did before and just read through the results, and then we'll cherry pick some of the matches. Match 1, they opened with the Future of Stardom Championship with Ami Sourei, the champion, defeating Mai Sakurai with Like a Thunderbolt in 10 minutes and 38, making her second successful title defense. 6-woman tag, the God's Eye team of Shiori Mirai and Tomoka Inaba defeated the Young Oedatai team of Starlight Kid, Ruaka and Rina, with Shiori getting the win with the Suzaku, which we don't see that often now, in 9 minutes and 10 seconds. We then get a slew of Triangle Derby block matches. The Queen's Quest team of Utami, Saya Kamatani, and Azumi moved to 5 points, defeating the Mai Himi with C Team, who remain on 4. Utami pinning Lady C with the German suplex in 12 minutes and 10 seconds. Rebel and Enemy moved to 4 points, having beaten the Club Venus team of Mina Zaya Brookside and Mariah May. They remain on 4 points, with Mayu Yukihi getting the win with the brutal-looking whiteout on Zaya Brookside. Prominence moved to 8 points, defeating H&M's Momokogo, Hanan and Mayu, who remain on 0 points, with Kurumi getting the pinfall with the diving body press onto Momokogo. Our last Triangle Derby match saw the 7-Up team of Nene Takahashi, Yu and Yuna Mizumori moving to 6 points, defeating the Gold Ship team of Tora, Saki Kashima and Momo Watanabe, who remain on 6 points in 12 minutes and 10 seconds. And then, of course, we've got the Giulia Gauntlet match, which we'll go through person by person in a moment. Matt, where would you like to start?
Real quick, I just want to say that when they did the Goddess of Stardom Tag League and the 5-star, they would put up the graphic with the points, and I really wish they did that for this because it just makes things a lot easier when I'm doing my notes. But hey, sometimes you just need to get yourself a Rob Goodwin that'll help you with that. So thanks for that, buddy.
Yeah, no problem.
I thought what a guy! I thought the Future Stardom match was pretty good, pretty solid. What do you think of Mai Sakurai's new gear? Because to me, she just leveled up. I mean, we talk about it all the time, and you talk about how you weren't a big fan of Mai Sakurai and still do not like the top rope elbow, which is we can do a whole podcast on that. But we talk about how she gets better all the time. I thought she was solid here, but with that new gear, to me, she just looks like she just really coming off as like ready to break out as like almost like a middle tier star in Stardom. I thought she looked great.
Completely agree. And actually, my first note is how much Mai Sakurai has improved since her last shot at the Future Belt. I feel like she's on a completely different level. The transition from her going from Cosmic Angels and, you know, concentrating more on the dancing in her eyes, to Donna Del Mondo and just being no frills fighting, I feel like that has been a huge benefit for her. And like you say, the new gear, she feels like a completely new wrestler. I will openly admit that I am not the biggest Mai Sakurai fan, and I certainly wasn't, but I cannot deny her improvement. I think she's done a tremendous job. I think the 5-star really helped, and I think she was a really, really, really good opponent for Ami Sourei here. I thought the two were able to go blow for blow. I thought it was funny that Mai Sakurai thought it was appropriate to go toe-to-toe with Ami in terms of striking, and unfortunately that led to the downfall a little bit. But overall, I thought this is one of Mai's better singles matches. I think she continues to improve. I gave it 3.5 stars.
Yeah, 3.5 stars as well. And how funny it would have been if they showed Mike and Himeka giving her instructions. Like, yeah, you can go to toe-to-toe with Ami. We do it all the time. You'll be fine.
I want to talk a little bit about these Triangle Derby matches, obviously. I alluded to it whilst we were talking about New Blood. I want to talk about this Prominence and H&M's match. Because overall, I think this was an absolutely outstanding match. There wasn't a weak link in this match. I do question the person that gave Mayu the extra long tail. Do they not know who she is? Have a think. She trips over her own feet. Giving her a massive tail as well is only going to exacerbate that. But I feel like a lot of emphasis was put on Hanan and Momo Kogo, and those two really, really delivered in their exchanges with the likes of Suzu Suzuki and Risa Sera. I thought that Kurumi was a really, really good monster, in that there was one moment early on where she did a double stomp on, I believe it was Momo Kogo, and they cut to Mayu Iwatani, and Mayu was just like, ooh, that must have hurt. But overall, I thought this was non-stop, really, really, really good action, and showcased the improvement in Momo Kogo and how good Hanan is getting and how well she is able to hang with the upper tier talent in Stardom.
Yeah, you put over Han and Momo Kogo. That Mayu, she'll probably do pretty well as well. I think she's got some potential. I think she'll be all right. But yeah, they're gelling really well. Obviously, I like how the Prominence in the Triangle Derby matches, how they set their matchup. Like Suzu will start, and then her and Risa will come in. Hiragi comes in, and she's like Mary, the dominant monster in the match. And then they'll go into like Suzu and Risa doing some stuff, and then obviously they'll give the other team the shine. They'll kind of go back and forth. But the way they build the finish when Prominence comes in, and I literally just put notes here where it's triple team dominance from Prominence, where it's they're just beating the crap out of whoever it was. In this case, it was Hanan, just taking move after move after move, just pouring it on. I just really enjoyed the psychology and the way that they've been building their matches up here. And obviously the stuff with Mayu and Suzu Suzuki was great.
Absolutely,
but yeah, this was really good. Yeah, this was really good. I mean, it was really, really nonstop. And I liked how the fact, again, Suzu Suzuki obviously is the star of this group. It's the reason why she's main eventing such a big show. Risa Sera has a pinfall win on the final night of the former champion on Cherry on the 5-star Grand Prix. But it was nice that in this sold-out show that they gave Hiragi the win here. And she's really, really, you mentioned it a few weeks ago on the show. She's really somebody that in this tournament is really catching the eyeballs of you and me as well. I think she fits in great with this group with Suzu and Risa Sera, and it was nice to see that they gave her the win here.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned that exchange between Mayu and Suzu Suzuki. It was blistering, even though it was disappointingly short on some levels. It was still brilliant. It reminded us that I do want another Mayu versus Suzu match. I gave it 4 stars. Like I said, one of the best matches from this tournament so far, and I think H&M's, don't be put off by the fact that they're 0-4 and have no points. They constantly put on really, really, really good matches. the same can be said, actually. The Queen's Quest versus My Himi with C match. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. And having Lady C fighting with members of Queen's Quest really showed how much Lady C has grown since she's been a member of the group.
Yeah, just to go back, you actually liked the last match before more than I did. That rarely happens. I had it 3 3/4 stars. But yeah, this is great. Obviously, we'll go on forever about my love of Queen's Quest, especially the team of Azumi, Saya Kamatani, Utami. And I'm really liking Micah Himika and Lady C. And they did gel very well together. And they gave Lady C a lot in this match, really taking care of their own. I don't know if anybody noticed that. And the fact that how they had to put Lady C down, it didn't take the former red belt champion. It didn't take the current high-speed champion. It didn't take the current white belt champion. In order to stop Lady C her momentum, it took all three of them. And I thought that was a great way to get Lady C over in this match. I know, yeah, by the way, Mike and Himika, they were really good as well. You know, the lariat sandwiches. I mean, I so want to see a Mike and Himika versus an Aphrodite match in the worst way. Obviously, they were in opposite blocks of the Goth Stardom Tag League. But that's a match I would love to see, maybe like semi-main event of a Korakuen show somewhere down the line. Everybody here was great. I thought these teams just firing on all cylinders, and so you had some really stiff shots. Like Lady C was just like, yeah, I'm going up against my own crew, and I'm going to take some liberties, but I know I'm going to get it back, and they didn't hold anything back. This is my favorite match of the show. I had it at 4 stars. Love this match.
Yeah, I gave it 3 3/4. It was that and the H&M's match that really stood out on this card. I thought that the Micah and Himika stuff with Saya and Utami was great. Just lariats for days. It was brilliant. I thought Azumi did fantastically well countering the brutality and, you know, hard-hitting nature of Micah and Himika with her speed. I think she just works well with everyone, and it does beggars belief sometimes that she is as young as she is. Overall, I thought Rebel and Enemy and Club Venus was decent. Another big outing for Maya Yukihi. That whiteout looks absolutely brutal, Matt.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, I did my notes, I gave the rating, and I was waiting for the graphic to come up to give me the time and what the name of that move was. And I always put, like, okay, is the name of, like, how would I explain it to somebody? So then I wrote the word whiteout, and in my notes I have arm captured, crossface, chin lock while sitting. I don't know how to. I mean, if anybody else can give me a better.
Just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah. I'm like, I mean, Tomoka Inaba, I absolutely love her, but the fact that the name of her finish is one shot, one kill, Inaba kick or whatever, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't work. That's not going to go on a t-shirt. But like the whiteout, I'm like, okay, I'll remember that. That's easy. I used a lot of whiteout in my college days. I made a lot of mistakes. Sure, not a problem. But yeah, that's how I put it in the notes. That I'm probably going to retire it. Since the last time I'm going to say it. Arm captured, crossface, chin lock while sitting. That's retired, folks. The whiteout. Thanks for making that easy, Maya. But yeah, she looked great here. You know, we talked about what's going to be the main event of New Blood Premium. I wouldn't be shocked because of the fact they want so many eyes on that show and they have a lot of seats to fill. I wouldn't be shocked if they do Maya Yukiki versus Giulia for the World of Stardom Championship. I think that'd be the perfect place to really start getting Giulia some successful title defenses.
I don't think anyone would disagree with you there or be disappointed with that if that was to come to fruition. Yeah, overall a really good match. I gave it 3.5. I just want to talk about the semi-main, and we talked about the booking missteps with 7-Up in the Tag League. I feel like this was another one here. I don't understand why 7-Up needed to beat Oedetai here. I feel like even if Oedetai cheated to win, they should have won here. I don't see what 7-Up gain from winning this. And it might just be me, and I might just be down on the whole 7-Up thing. But the perfect team to beat 7-Up, because you don't want these going into the final because they're the Goddess of Stardom tag team champions. Surely having Goldship, who, you know, are on a roll and will cheat because they're Oedetai, surely they would have been the perfect team to give them that loss. I don't really understand what 7-Up gained from winning, Matt.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand how they're just booked so strong. to the point where just like they've done such a great job booking all the champions this past, I'm up and down the card for the past 12 months. But it's kind of like, what are we doing now with the tag division? And don't get me wrong, their matches are fantastic. We talked about the final against Aphrodite and the match at Dream Queendom with Meltier, and we know when we preview next week against Mai Himi, that's going to be great. But it's like they're almost on a roll as well at the Triangle Derby, and it's like, really, we got to keep giving them wins here. You could have went to a time limit draw or double count out or like a big DQ thing. It is a Wado tie, a big brawling thing where it's like it gets really, really stiff and the ref has to throw it out because nobody can contain themselves. You could have went that way. But speaking of stiff, how about my favorite part of this match? And of course, if you listen to this podcast, you know I like hard-hitting wrestling. And you know how much I love one Momo Watanabe. She did not hold anything back on you. And I don't mean you, Rob, or you, the listeners. I hope Momo Watanabe doesn't kick you because I need a host for the show. But she laid into you with some kicks. It's like, oh yeah, you want to come in my company and win all these tournaments and take these belts? Now I'm gonna make you earn it. Because she just kicked the bejesus out of you with some brutal mid kicks, and then ended it with a head kick that Mirko Crocop probably said, "All right, let's take it easy here."
I loved it. To be perfectly honest, obviously there's a little bit of history between Momo and Nene, dating back to Budokan and even before then. But I don't know what you had done to Momo Watanabe, but Momo was not at all playing here, and it was so good because of that. I was really impressed with that. It was a good match, which makes it even worse. It's actually a really, really, really fun match. It's just the result really, really, really got me down because I don't see what there is to giving 7-Up another win, because they are going to have to lose at some point. And looking at who they've got left, their next two matches are against Mai Himi with C and Rebel and Enemy, and I don't see them losing either of those matches, Matt.
Mike and him? No. Wait, when's the Mike and Himika match? Is that before the pay-per-view?
28th.
Okay, so they'll lose there, and that'll build towards their pay-per-view match. Micah, now they don't have. I mean, they should pin Micah or Himika. One of them should pin Nene or you, but I think that they're going to pin. They're going to pin Hanazono. I think that are not Hanazono.
Mizumori.
Mizumori, yes, the Pineapple Girl, who I think is fantastic as the third member of the 7-Up group. But I think they'll lose that match because then it'll build up their tag title match coming up for a Supreme fight just a little bit more. But as far as what happens with Rebel Enemy, I don't know. Again, if they're going to do what I think they're going to do and what I hope they do is by giving Mayu Yaguchi, who is my new favorite wrestler, giving her, shotgunning her into a title program with Giulia, that, maybe they do drop their next two. I don't know. You said it's not going to happen. I'm going to say it's going to happen. So you're saying they're going 2-0. I'm saying they're going to go 0-2. And I'm going to bet $0.
I mean, we did say this about Meltier, to be fair. We thought that they were giving them that warm-up match at Korakuen so that they could get the beating of Meltier before the pay-per-view, and then they beat him in both. So, we'll wait and see. Let's talk then, Matt, about this Giulia gauntlet match, this 10-person gauntlet, where she had 3-minute singles matches against damn near most of the roster. Miyu Amasaki was, of course, supposed to be a part of this, but she was replaced by a mystery opponent. I'll run through the 10 results, and then we'll just talk about the gauntlet all as one, really. Super Strong Stardom Machine was the replacement. Of course she was. Time limit draw in 3 minutes. Giulia Koguma was a time limit draw, 3 minutes, as was Tekla. The only person to lose in this was Hina in 1 minute and 57 seconds. If you're Hina, you must be fuming.
No, I'm going to put the Matt Turner positive spin on it. You ready, Rob? Here we go.
Yes.
So in 3 or 4 days from now, if I'm saying, Rob, name me all 10 people that were in this Giulia gauntlet, you're probably not going to do it. But if I say, Rob, who's the only person Giulia beat in the gauntlet, you will remember. So the positive spin on this is Hina's name will get remembered in the gauntlet. Continue, good sir.
So I love the fact that the good thing to come out of it is that Hina's name is a bit of trivia now. Hazuki, all of these then went to 3-minute time limit draws. Hazuki, Tam Nakano, Saki, Natsupoi, which was really entertaining, Saya Ida, And then possibly the crescendo and best moment of this match, Waka Tsukiyama. There was loads of good things to come out of this, Matt. Really enjoyed the Natsupoi exchange, literally sitting on top of Giulia and slapping at her face. Hazuki came out just balls to the wall. We say this every time. It doesn't matter whether it's a Korakuen, whether it's a Edion Arena, or whether she's getting changed. She just absolutely goes for it, and it's just always really, really fun. Obviously, you've got the history between Giulia and Tam. I thought Saki gave a decent account of herself. The Giulia and Tekla chemistry was really, really cool, because obviously they're not only good friends, but also tag mates. And then, of course, Super Strong Stardom Machine. We wanted it to get a red belt shot, unfortunately not quite. And then, of course, Waka Tsukiyama. You know, what a feather in the cap to not get pinned by the red belt champion.
Yeah, you mentioned Hazuki, and boy, it's like, I think she's going to get a red belt shot. She was the first person to beat Giulia in the 5-star in the main event of the first night. You can go off that and just build her up a little bit. But when I was doing the podcast solo back in the summer, I would talk about Hazuki Mania running wild. She would just come into these matches. And I think I need to start bringing that back a little more, because Hazuki Mania was definitely running wild here. But this whole thing as a whole, I absolutely loved it for several reasons. So Giulia wrestled roughly around a half an hour. And I talk all the time how Giulia is very much like Ric Flair. By that, I mean, it doesn't matter where you're on the card, Giulia is going to get that person over and then beat them, which then turns, like I always say, if you don't, you build somebody up and then you beat them. We saw she did with Miyu Amasaki at one of the very first New Blood shows, where she gave Miyu quite a bit in that match, and made Miyu look really good. We talked about Hana going into the 5-star. She had all these great matches with the Future of Stardom Championship. What's going to happen in the 5-star? She had a great 5-star, but I think her match with Giulia was the best, because Giulia gave her a lot. And this whole entire, everybody, all 10 wrestlers, Giulia gave a lot to. Not only that, I would have rather wrestled one 30-minute match straight through, because you're only telling like one massive story, ebbing and flowing. You only have to ebb and flow with really like one style. Where she ebbed and flowed with 10 different wrestlers, 10 different styles. Not only that, even when you have the break, you think, well, she can catch her breath. Well, if your body cools down, you need to warm it back up again. So the fact that she was able to do all of this in roughly 30 minutes, I thought this was great. Even like the Tam stuff, it's just like, she's, okay, who's next? Who's coming out? Like, oh my God, it's Suzuki. Oh my God, it's Natsupoi. And then, oh my God, here comes Tam. And if you go back and watch the whole Tam 3-minute, they don't do anything for 1 minute. Like, they just stand there, stare at each other, and Giulia goes to shake her hand. They're like, 1 minute has gone down 2 minutes. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to totally ruin this 3 minutes with Tam. And then once they lock up, it's like 2 minutes of like, don't blink, because we're just going to drop each other on our heads. It was like melding the best 2 minutes of their hair versus hair match and their final of the 5-star Grand Prix on like 120 seconds. Obviously, the Hazuki stuff was really good. I thought the stuff with Saki was phenomenal, and I'm liking Saki more and more every time I see her. I think she's the perfect person to put in that third person of the trio of Cosmic Angels, considering the fact that we don't know where Mina's going. Unagi's off and on. We don't know what's going on with Waka. I think that Saki's somebody that they should sign to a full-time contract and put into the third role of Cosmic Angels, because I thought she was great here. Her stuff with Giulia was great. She's melding in very well with Meltier. See what I did there?
Incredible.
But obviously, they get to the 10th person. It's Waka. She sprints out. I think like her and Hazuki were like, who can go to the ring first and hit Giulia the hardest within 3 seconds? Because she waits for poor Giulia. She's just gone through like 27 minutes. She's exhausted. She literally looks up, and there's Waka yelling at her from the top rope and just blisters her with a missile drop kick. They go back and forth. She lets Waka kick out of the Glorious Driver, ? Because she didn't really kick out. She was supposed to, but she didn't. But then Giulia cuts that great promo at the end, really putting over Waka. And then Suzu comes out. So we had a lot of really cool things set up at the end of this. But I thought this was great. I thought you basically, if they were to have Giulia defend the belts against all the 10 people she wrestled, you have a preview of what you're going to see. And this gives you hope, Rob, of Giulia versus Suzu, or Giulia versus Super Strong Stardom Machine for the red belt. Because we got a preview here, and I'm all for it.
Absolutely. And I think, again, any one of these women have a legitimate claim now over the red belt, apart from Hina, who lost. Let's have a look then. I'm not going to ask you to rate this, Matt, because it,
I didn't. I just thought it was great. Yeah, it's impossible.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was probably the most fun on either of these cards, and they were both solid cards. But this was just it was really fun. I completely agree with you that she was able to sort of turn chemistry on with each of these three women and have a completely different match with each of these three women and tell three different stories as well. It shows how good a performer she is.
And real quick, Giulia in her championship gear with a championship belt. I mean, that just seems like it's made, right?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. There are some things that are just made. Mayu in red championship gear, Giulia in red championship gear. It just works. So, let's have a look at where we stand then now in terms of the Triangle Derby. So in red block, shockingly, 7up are top, going 3-0 on 6 points. Queen's Quest have made a huge jump into second place, going 2-1-1 on 5 points. Unique Glare, 2-1 on 4 points. Cosmic Angels, 2-2 on 4 points. Club Venus, 2-3 on 4 points. Barry Bombers, 1-3 on 2 points, and then H&M's on 0-4 on 0 points. That's how red block lines up. In terms of blue block, we have got Prominence, who are 4-1 on 8 points. Gold Ship are 3-1 on 6 points. Aberembo God's Eye are 2-0-1 on 5 points. My Himi with C are 2-2 with 4 points, as are Rebel and Enemy. Classmates are 1-2 on 2 points, and Lollipop are propping up blue block 0-4 on 0 points. Obviously, these things will change significantly as we have got 2 more Triangle Derby dates over this weekend as you are listening. So on Saturday, the 28th of January, we are in Chiba in the Funabashi Arena, and we have the following card. We have the Triangle Derby match, Barry Bombers versus Classmates, 7up versus My Himi with C, Unique Glare versus Aberembo God's Eye, Queen's Quest versus Prominence, yes please, Club Venus versus Gold Ship, Mayu Iwatani, Hanan and Momokogo, H&M's taking on the Cosmic Angels team of Tam, Natsupoi and Waka Tsukiyama in a 6-woman tag, and then a 3-way match, Rina versus Tomoka Inaba versus Hina. Some really interesting Triangle Derby matchups there, Matt. I'm very, very, very excited for Prominence versus Queen's Quest. And much as I wasn't impressed with the booking of 7up in the previous show, I am actually really looking forward to 7up versus My Himi with C.
Yeah, those would be great. And since this is the official, unofficial Starlight Kid appreciation show, really looking forward to see Starlight Kid get in there with the 3 people, especially Sherry from God's Eye. So that all looks really, really good. And then Mina and Momo Watanabe probably kicking the heck out of each other. Yeah, sign me up.
Oh, yeah, there's nothing better in life. And then, obviously, the following day on the Sunday, we're in Gunma in Maibashi in the Gunma Tota Green Dome. And we have more Triangle Derby action. So H&M's will be taking on God's Eye, the Aberembo God's Eye team of Ami Sourei, Mirai, and Syuri. The Cosmic Angels team of Tam, Natsupoi, and Saki will be taking on Classmates. 7up will be taking on Rebel and Enemy. Club Venus will be taking on My Himi with C. And then in 6-woman tag team action, we have got the Queen's Quest team of Utami, Sayaka Matani, and Hina taking on Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, and Rina. We've got the Barry Bombers taking on Natsukatora, Saki Kashima, and Ruaka of Oedatai in 6-woman tag team action. And then we've got a 3-way battle to open the show. Waka Tsukiyama taking on Tomoka Inaba versus Azumi. What jumps out for you there, Matt?
Did you say Classmates versus Cosmic Angels?
I did indeed.
Yes, because we will see another Hazuki versus Tam Nakano. Drawing the line in the sand to see who's going to budge first. That whole entire show The Saturday show looks a little bit better to me. The Sunday show obviously looks really, really good. But that would be the match I'd be looking forward to the most, would be Classmates versus the Cosmic Angels. Plus, we get to see Saida beat up on poor Natsupoi. So,
inducting her into the Natsupoi Beatdown Club. And that's us. Guys, we are done for this week. Thank you so much for listening. Next week, obviously, we will have the review of both those aforementioned Triangle Derby shows, as well as our full Supreme Fight 2023 preview, and we'll be reviewing it the week after. Exciting times. But thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We truly do appreciate it. You can subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you are listening, please leave us a podcast review. It really does help us be exposed to more people. Thank you to all of our patrons over at patreon.com/the StardomCast, including Joey Gallagher, who is our newest patron. We really do appreciate it. You can find us on social media anywhere at the StardomCast. You can talk to me on Twitter at RealRobGoodwin. Matt, where can they find you? And sign us off, my friend.
Absolutely, sir. If you want to get a hold of me, folks, any questions, comments, anything you want to chat about, just let me know. You can look me up, Matt Turner OF, on the Instagram and the Twitter. If social media is not your thing, drop me a line on the email. The StardomCast22@gmail.com is the best way to get a hold of me if you want to go through via email. Once again, folks, we cannot say thank you enough. Rob and I have such a pleasure doing this show, and just the fantastic words that are said to us literally on a daily basis. It really means the world to us and just makes us want to do this podcast, make it even better each and every outing. And like I always say, folks, thank you so much. It's not my podcast. It's our podcast, because we're all in this together, and everybody's different. Everybody's special.